Good evening, fellow patrons. I recently subjected myself to one of the most grueling experiences in Black Ops 7 Zombies. I reached round 100 in Rogue Run without using a single gobblegum. After nearly 11 hours of non-stop gameplay, I feel like I know the ins and outs of this game mode. In this video, I will break down the best way to choose your rewards at the end of each round. I will also break down the patterns I have seen from interacting with CHOMPY and the most efficient way to go about bartering with him. And finally, I will go over what I believe to be the most effective strategies for each of the 7 arenas in this game mode. Let's run it! The most essential item in order to find high round success in Rogue Run is your starting weapon. For those who do not know, the game will randomly spawn you in with one of these 4 pistols. If you have a set zombie build, you will load in with that exact build. It is imperative that you start your game with the 1911s. You will be using this weapon almost exclusively throughout the duration of your run. If you spawn in with a pistol other than the 1911, back out and restart your game. Never trade in the 1911s for any other gun that appears on the pedestal. I don't care if you see a triple-packed, legendary version of your favorite gun at the end of round 1. Don't do it. You may never see the 1911s again if you trade it in. Here is the build that I have been repping since the gun was released in Season 3. I like to switch from the akimbo to the single wield in the early rounds so I can ADS and maximize my critical shots. In the very early rounds, you want to prioritize upgrading the rarity of the 1911s and securing your perks. Do not bother with ammo mods or field upgrades. Increasing your firepower and HP is the safest way to navigate the first 20 rounds. If you have beaten Mo the Abomination, you will start seeing augments appear on the pedestals after you select your first perk. From my experience with the rewards in my matches, it is highly unlikely that an augment will appear more than once on the pedestals. So after you choose your first perk, the augments become your #1 priority above literally everything else. So for example, in this particular match, I did not get Juggernog until round 17. I also did not even see Quick Revive until round 13, so I had absolutely no buff to my HP in the initial stages of my game. I had picked Vulture Aid in an earlier round, so it was just a matter of time before its augments started showing up on the pedestals. As you see on screen, I had the choice of selecting either Quick Revive or the Armormatic Major augment from Vulture Aid. Armormatic is one of the most important augments to find high round success in Rogue Run that you can have equipped. This would likely be the only time the Armormatic augment would appear on the pedestals, so it was an easy decision for me to make. Perks will always reappear on the pedestals and can even be earned through using CHOMPY, which I will go into detail in a different segment of the video. You can only earn augments at the end of a round, and because there are several augments per perk, some do not appear at all in your match, let alone more than once. In my opinion, the augments you see on screen will make high round runs so much easier, so if you have a chance to select any of these, I would highly recommend you do so. Essence isn't completely worthless in Rogue Run. Whenever you accumulate 30,000 Essence, you can interact with CHOMPY for various rewards. The reward that CHOMPY regurgitates is in a particular order, and it also varies on what is currently in your loadout. So for example, the first reward you will receive from CHOMPY will always be a self-revive. The next reward will be a Tier 1 PAP crystal, which is then followed by a Tier 2 crystal. And of course, the Tier 3 crystal follows suit. Now this is where the next batch of rewards can vary based on what is currently in your loadout. If you do not have all of the perks available in the game mode, you will be rewarded 1 perk per CHOMPY exchange until you do. If you already have all the perks available in Rogue Run, you will essentially bypass the perk rewards and go straight to either score streaks or power-ups. How do I know this? Well, when I was beating the other mini-bosses to unlock more rewards for the endurance version of Rogue Run, I popped Perkaholics so I could get through those runs more quickly. After receiving the Tier 3 PAP Crystal, I was not rewarded a perk can or even an Eternal perk can. I was almost always rewarded with a Mangler cannon followed by a hand cannon. After this, I would receive a power-up. From my observations, after you receive that power-up, there is a random chance between either receiving either one of those score streaks or a power-up. Another observation that I made was that if you happen to go down and use your self-revive, the next time you interact with Chompy, the reward path will basically reset. Let me explain. In my round 100 match, I went down at round 11 and used my self-revive. The next time I interacted with Chompy, I got another self-revive, not a tier 1 Pap Crystal. For those who have experience in Rogue Run, you know that the nuke power-up is a godsend, especially in later rounds. Unlike in standard matches, a nuke power-up will immediately end the round. After I was completely set up, I would interact with Chompy in hopes of spinning a nuke power-up. The nuke power-up was a rarity, and it seemed like every reward that Chompy gave me was a full power. In that match, I had chosen a field upgrade, which I rarely used. So in my round 100 run, I intentionally did not choose a field upgrade at the pedestals. My thinking was that if I did not have a field upgrade, Chompy would not reward me with a full power. Well, I was wrong. Whenever I tested this theory, I did still receive full powers from Chompy, but the rate at which I received them were much less frequent. There is not a way to completely manipulate Chompy into rewarding you a nuke power-up. But I do think it is important knowing the patterns I've mentioned. Having this knowledge just allows you to pick your rewards at the pedestals in the smartest and most efficient possible way. If anyone has picked up any other Chompy tendencies or has had a different experience from what I have shared in this segment, feel free to blow up the comment section of this video. Every time you advance to the next round in Rogue Run, you will be teleported to one of 7 areas from Ashes of the Damned. Knowing how to safely navigate these areas and incorporating a simple, sustainable strategy for each of them is essential for high round success in this game mode. I think most people would agree that the strategies in Janus Plaza, Van Dorn Farm, and the boss arena are pretty straightforward, so I'm not going to cover those areas. Starting with exit 115, the first thing you will need to do is hurry over to the trap in the diner. I had an extra charge of Ether Shroud to use, so I just decided to use it on this round, but it really wasn't necessary. There are usually 1 to 3 zombies that have spawned in near the trap switch at the beginning of the round. You should be able to safely take them out with the 1911 without using your field upgrade. Activate the trap and continuously fire the 1911 at either one of the doors. Due to the noise of the explosive rounds, it is hard to make out the change of the trap's cadence that signals it is about to shut off. Wait for an opening and take this route you see me take here. I like to mantle this railing and hop along the roof of the cars parked alongside of the diner to avoid getting hit by the horde running down the street. You will then scale the bus where the Shadow SK sniper wall by usually is. From here you will scale the semi-truck and hop on over to the diner roof. You will then run the same route along the roofline that I covered in my exit 115 round 100 video. If you have not seen that video, essentially what you want to do is run a loop on the slanted portion of the roof. The elevation change makes the zombies have to drop down behind you or directly in front of you. If a zombie ends up directly in front of you, slide directly into it. You do not need PhD slider to knock it down. By doing this, you should take very little damage while you are waiting for the trap to cool down. Once the trap has cooled off, drop down at this portion of the roof and reactivate the trap. On the rounds where you are in Ashwood, make your way up to the trap as quickly as possible. Elites will spawn in every 5 rounds, so if one is due to spawn in, eliminate it immediately after you spawn in with a score streak. After the trap deactivates, I like to make my way to the bridge where I run this figure 8 loop. I know the area where you spawn in near the garage is much more of a wide open space, but descending down there can be a bit sketchy in my opinion. I also think the spawns on the bridge are in closer proximity to each other, allowing you to kill the zombies at a quicker pace. As you can see, I am sliding into zombies that spawn in front of me, and I am shooting when I get to the top of either staircase. After the trap cools down after 75 seconds, make your way back to the trap and reactivate it. ZARYA Cosmodrome is by far the most dangerous of the 7 arenas. Every portion of this part of the map is narrow, and this prevents you from being able to train the zombies. Up until round 91, I would run this loop across the entire map, which was not only slow and inefficient, but extremely dangerous. It is extremely hard to dodge or slide into the super sprinters that are in front of you because there are usually 2 or 3 zombies in front of you after you turn every corner. Heading down either ramp is a nightmare, and as you see, I go down trying to maneuver my way through the flame trench portion of the map. Luckily, I remembered an extremely safe strategy that I was testing out when I was making my round 100 video on the survival variation of this map. There is an extremely narrow pathway that runs by the arsenal machine. It is so narrow that the zombies are forced to run directly in front of you. This allows you to slide directly into them, knock them down, and continue on the pathway you see in my game. I like to turn around and shoot the 1911s when I get near the zipline. Once you come out on the other side, this is another good spot to unload on any zombies that have spawned in. All you need to do is keep running this loop until you end the round. It is extremely safe, and you can go into autopilot when running it. I was mentally zapped at this point in my run, and without this strategy, I would not have been able to reach round 100. Blackwater Lake is not necessarily that difficult, but it is far and away the arena that takes the longest time to complete rounds in. It is a miserable experience to say the least. There is not a trap, and in solo you cannot camp in the house without getting overrun. So the only safe route that I could find was the loop you see me running here around the entire cabin. Anybody have any idea how long round 89 took to complete? I was unsuccessful in spawning in a nuke power-up, and it took me a staggering 43 minutes to complete the entire round. It took so much wind out of my sails that I almost just quit my game. So if any of y'all know a faster solo strategy, I am all ears. I doubt many people will be striving for reaching round 100 in the endurance version of Rogue Run. But if you are, your best bet is to save as much essence for the last 10 rounds as you can and pray that Chompy blesses you. But anyways, that wraps up my video on the Rogue Run game mode. Not sure if I will ever play it again, to be completely honest with you. I would just like to say Godspeed to anyone who tries to reach round 100. I appreciate you guys watching as always, and I'll see you in the next one. JJet out.